Go for it.
Good Sunday morning, Tri-State. This is the Charlie Butler Real Estate Show. And as I am, and have been every Sunday for 8 years on here, I'm Charlie Butler. You know, I've been on this station the better part of my life. I'm going to be in 26, you know. And I got my real estate license when I was 18. So, yeah. Candace, you look skeptical over there.
Well, you know.
Of course, my co-host every week, the lovely Candace DeArmond, the president of the Butler DeArmond Real Estate Network and the Charlie Butler team. Good morning, Candace.
Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, Bobby. Good morning, Tri-State.
Good morning.
Oh, I didn't tell you good morning, Bobby. Good morning, Bobby.
Good morning, Charlie. I'll get over it.
Okay. And for those of you that listened to rock in the 90s, that is the famous Bobby G. All the girls fond of Bobby, apparently.
Let's not get into this. Let's stay on track.
Oh, I was going to ask Candace if she saw it. You know, that was, you know.
I remember my parents listened to GBF. And so I do remember hearing his voice.
When she's a little girl.
I'm not much younger than Bobby is. But I listened to GBF because my parents did. And there's some songs on there that I like.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of nostalgic, you know, whenever I hear them.
So you were raised by hippies, huh?
I was raised by hippies. Mm-hmm. Yes, I absolutely was.
You got some good stories about your family. Unfortunately, I can't think of any of them can be told on the radio.
Oh, I can't either. But I do have a whole bunch of really good ones.
I was trying to think.
Maybe I'll think of
one of your grandma's stories, or
well,
I know one, but you probably don't want to get into that.
The janitor.
The janitor.
I dated a guy that was a podiatrist. He had graduated from med school, but he had to do his residency.
Right.
And he wasn't getting a residency. Dr. Dummy wasn't having much luck. But anyway, he worked cleaning carpets in the evenings, you know, like in restaurants and things like that. My grandma said, "You're the only one I know that could turn a doctor into a janitor." Thanks, Grandma.
Oh, if we could just tell stories the way we want to. Candace's family is there's some great stories there.
Yeah. I am related to some characters.
Yeah, your grandpa and Paul's Tavern is a very good one. And you know, that's very rude to tell half a story and not be able to tell it, though. So,
it is.
Yeah.
My grandpa and I went into Paul's Tavern because he was a regular there, and we'd go in. He'd say, "Well, let's go into Paul's and we'll have a beer and get some food and whatever." "Well, I'm not 21, Grandpa." He was like, "Oh, it's fine. You'll be with me. Just don't call me Grandpa. The young things won't talk to me." So I spent like 3 years before I was 21 going into Paul's Tavern. And then I went in right before I turned 21, and it was so dumb. I went in with one friend was 21 and two of the other friends weren't. And I told them, "Just walk in like you belong. You know, you'll be fine." And as soon as we walked in, the bartender said something. And I said, "If he asks for your ID, just say, 'Oh, hang on, I left it in the car,' and walk out." Well, as soon as the bartender started walking over, the two that weren't 21 immediately turned around and walked out. And the whole bar started going, "Oh," and like, you know, making fun of us because obviously I was mortified. I was like, "Oh." So anyway, they didn't play it cool. And then that bartender was very unhappy with me after he found out he'd been serving me for a few years. And now I understand why he was unhappy with me. But at the time, I was like, "I thought you were cool."
I had a similar thing when before I was 21. I always looked older than my age. Mm-hmm. So my friends who were also 17 or 18, I would go in the liquor store.
Uh-huh.
I just walked to where I, you know, to what I wanted. Like, you know, I knew, you know, I did this all the time.
Uh-huh.
You know, paid and left. You know, everything was fine. And so they wanted to go in with me one day. And dummy me, I let them go in. They walk in, you know, they're like kids in a candy store. "Oh, look up there. Look over there." You know. Yeah. And of course, got carded. But I did what you told your friends to do. I said, "I left my wallet in the car. I'll be back." Of course, took off then.
I was the liquor store teenager too. And now looking back, I don't even know how I got nominated to be the one that went in because I didn't look.
You didn't look old.
No, I had braces. I was little. I didn't, So, but somehow I was nominated, probably because they knew I was going to be the one dumb enough to do it. And if I got in trouble, my parents, my mom would have probably gotten on to me, but it would have been a huge deal.
Yeah.
But I would go in there, and it's so funny to me now because I'd walk in and I'm getting bottles of Boone's Farm and Dark Eyes vodka and all the things that teenagers would drink.
Right.
A lot of it. It was gross. But I'd walk in and talk about what a rough week at the office I had. And I had braces. I mean, I looked like a child. And now I think back and I'm like, God, that was they had to have known.
That bartender knew.
Oh, they had to.
The guy knew. Yeah.
Well, I went to 2 different liquor stores. Neither one of them exist anymore. And none of them, they let me come in. They were real nice. And, they probably thought it was funny. Well, how was your long week? Oh, yes, such a long week at the office. I am just bogged down and really thirsty.
My friend D.A. Sutton, who you've met, D.A. was with me one day, and he wanted to go in. He'd never been in, and so at the time they had lowered the drinking age in Illinois to 19. I think they put it back to 21 again, but I'm not positive. But anyway, DA says, let me see if I can. So he goes up there, and of course they sell it to him, and he said, this was easy. I said, DA, we're 19. we can do this now.
We're allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how we got off on this subject.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how we got there.
But anyway, this is going to be our final show for anywhere from, some say a month. Melissa's and Candace and I are talking about the summer. So we're just going to see how busy we are.
The summer is a pretty busy season, and we've got the Parade of Homes coming up, which is we put a lot of work into that.
We do, and we'll be staffing. You can come see the Charlie Butler team at Reinbreck Homes at Fulton Place in Booneville, which is a new subdivision, and their model, which is very reasonably priced. It's I think almost 1,400 square feet, isn't it?
I believe so. Yeah.
3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, and I believe it's only $249. Yeah. And so that's Reinbreck's. I think they're going to have a parade home in their other new subdivision, which is Willow subdivision, and they will have people there too. I don't think we're going to be there at Willow. I'm not. No,
we're not at Willow.
So Willow, for those that don't know, Willow is you go out North Green River through Daylight and cross the highway. Let's believe it's 57 there. Isn't it? Yeah. Cross the highway, and it's down maybe a mile on your left. You're going to be in a very nice subdivision, as is Fulton Place. And
But both of them are very affordable for brand new houses.
Oh, yeah. And both will have houses starting under $250. Yeah. So we would have had either Phil or Matt Reinbreck here today, but we thought we had another guest, and we're going to make fun of Claire Kincaid, who miraculously lived through that car wreck at Law and Order, when they all thought she was dead. No, Claire doesn't even Claire's too old to probably even remember.
No, she does not remember. I think she's 27.
Yeah, she didn't get served at the liquor store when she was at.
I don't know. She might have. I had braces and looked like a child.
True. Yeah.
Still.
And Claire looks a lot younger. I think. But anyway, Claire was supposed to be here today, and she just got overrun with closings, and which that's good for them because they have been a great sponsor for us, and will continue to sponsor our website, and that's Bossy Title that Claire's with. And be sure they're the official title company of the Charlie Butler Real Estate Show, and I think we can call them the official title company of the Charlie Butler team.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they do the majority of our work.
They do.
And, Candace, I think you and I have talked about this before. When there is no bumps in the road, any of these title companies out there can do it.
Right.
It's, it's I guess pretty easy stuff from what I understand. But the reason, I know Candace is a big fan, as am I, the reason that we go to Bossy is if there's a problem.
Mm-hmm. And they will work until they get it resolved.
Yeah. If if it can be resolved, unfortunately, there are times when it can't be, and it's not. But if it can be resolved, they go the extra mile.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
I saw Jeff Bossy more than once when another title company said we couldn't get it done.
And he got it done.
He went and bought the search notes from the other title companies, so they weren't completely left out, and they got it done.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Jeff Bossy has a wonderful staff, but he also does the work. I mean, he's done stuff. I've called him directly, and he's gotten some stuff done.
Yeah, we joke a lot about Jeff and setting his office sleeping, but that's really not true. Jeff is, and Jeff has hired. Jeff's hired an excellent staff. He is super at that.
Yeah, they are all great.
Yeah, and Jeff still thanks me about Kelly Norton because I recommended Kelly Norton to him.
Mm-hmm. She is really good.
She's good. Of course, Claire. God, you see, I do this, and we're going to leave a whole bunch of people out. There's a lot of behind the scenes people too that we don't necessarily deal with.
Yeah.
But very good attorney, and Susan Vollmer, and from the receptionist on back, they're good.
They really are.
They really are. And of course, we can't leave out Norm and Phil.
Well, they do the most work around there.
they do the most eating around there.
They do.
And Norm and Phil are both French Bulldogs. Yeah, French Bulldogs. And they'll come out and greet you. And I guess they're kind of the official greeters. And
I think so.
And I think Norm's the CFO, the chief Frenchie officer. So,
yeah.
But you mentioned briefly the parade, Candace. There's a lot coming up with the parade. Clients that we represent, and we don't have everything they're doing because they both do so much. But CAC, which is Chris Combs, they're doing Liberty Lakes, which is a new subdivision just right off the corner of Liberty, and it's. It looks like it's going to start. I called Chris the other day, and I asked him because I had somebody close to what I thought could do Liberty Lakes, but he said they're starting at $600,000 there.
Okay,
and
it's beautiful out there.
And as we both know, Chris does a magnificent job.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, and so definitely you want to go by Chris Combs' home in Liberty Lakes, and I don't know if he's got one open in Bellevue.
I'm not sure about that either.
Him and Donnie Denton own Bellevue, and then the one over on Oak Coal Mine where he's got the big house. It's Castle something.
I can't remember what that one is called.
Yeah, it's across the street almost from where DA lives out. We talk about DA Sutton, and what's the next one? Julianne. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, almost across the street or across the road from Julianne.
Okay.
So, and him and Donnie both have built some big homes in there. So, but go see those two, and they're there the whole time. And they really work it, and they will have his past parade winner open. Or another unit, at least, in the Villas of Oak Grove. And Chris has won, I think, Home of the Year in that category twice.
Yeah.
With that. So, and he's building 6 more right now. and I can speak firsthand of that they are beautiful. I live out there, and he's done a great job with those.
They are very nice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of finishing touches that he puts on his work that are.
Yes.
It's very impressive.
Yeah, and Chris told me when me and my wife were sitting down with it, he said, I use the same stuff on these that I use in my $1 million plus houses.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, I'm thinking, well, it'll be nice, but he's not going to do that. Not true. I looked at that and looked at his $1.2 million parade home. It's the same stuff. Now, they got a lot more in theirs.
Yeah.
Several thousand square feet more. But, so, yeah, like the engineered hardwoods and, things like that. Yeah, he does the same thing. The crown, the whole bit. And so that's good. So we got Parade of Homes. We've got just all kinds of new stuff to look at. And as I said, in Fulton Place, the team will be out there. I know Kathy French, who has really done a fine job with that home.
She has. Yeah.
And so if you get a chance, Kathy has that open every Sunday. And so if you get a chance, go out there because and Candace, what is the best way? See, I put you on the spot.
To get there?
Yeah.
Well, GPS was wrong.
Yeah. There had to be a better way than what you and I went that one day.
Yeah. If you go all the way out Morgan, I can't remember what it turns into. And
Yeah.
I know the roads to look at them, but
Do
you
you
get
go-
to the roundabout and you take a right.
You take that 61's bypass there, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
And then to the right.
Yes. At the roundabout, you take a right, and then that'll
Yeah.
lead you right down there. But that is not what my GPS said. Yeah, we kind of got a little turned around.
Yeah, we did. And so, yeah, those are very nice. And we're, of course, Candace says they runs a team, and you've been working with several of the team members. Sales are certainly on the way up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've got several packages that we've been marketing, and we've found some buyers for them, and they're going through. And
Yeah, that's Ashley Wilkinson with most of those has done a good job, as has the other agents, Marianne Yoder and Tanya Gibson and Kathy French.
Mm-hmm. And Kelly Pike.
And Kelly.
Kelly's
But Kelly's package, we still got Kelly's package.
We do.
But Kelly is also our transactions coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And she's hobbling a little bit right now. Kelly was in a car wreck.
Yeah. Did you see? Oh, well, you saw her yesterday.
I saw her yesterday.
I just saw the pictures. Gosh, she's banged up pretty bad.
With what she had on, I couldn't see too much, but she was walking with a crutch.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she still didn't remember some stuff.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, those. But as far as Candace, I'm gonna put you on the spot one time here. As far as getting a hold of any of those people we were just talking about, like, and Wenda Schroeder was also has done a fine job.
Yeah, she has. We've got a pretty good group right now.
You have to look up the number. I got it in my head for once.
I just don't know why you even asked me that. I have it. I don't know what in my brain just does not. I don't remember the number. I can't remember it. I try.
Let me tell you. Let me do it.
Well, why don't you put me out of my misery? Oh, never mind. I know. 812-430-1708.
Okay, that's the Charlie Butler team phone that will reach any of those great agents, and they'll do a super job. Now, if you want to talk to Candace, and Candace is still, they do a good job, but I don't think there's anybody that I know of that goes above and beyond the way Candace does. And so how can I get a hold of you, Candace?
They can reach me on my cell phone at 812-455-6338.
Okay. And or you can go to charliebutlerteam.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We do have there is a listing that I think I talked about it a couple weeks ago in Arcadian Acres.
oh yeah,
And
yeah, that looks very pretty.
It is really, really nice. And they have a lot of bold colors in the house, but I like bold colors.
Yeah.
So I think that it goes very well with it's kind of a mid-century modern type of home. And, they've done a really good job with
Right.
it. So, yeah, you can give us a call about that one, get in and check it out. So,
And if we looked at one yesterday. If you are wanting to sell your home, we have investors that will buy them.
mm-hmm.
And if unless you're in a super hurry, we're always honest with you. Where you're better off listing the home because we'll sell it for more, because it's not the investor's fault. They have to make a profit.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So they've got to offer a little bit less. And
but whenever we market it and we handle it as a typical sale, we get the best price.
We're
out there.
We're usually getting, if we don't get full price, we'll get usually 97% or above.
Yeah, it's still pretty close.
Yeah.
We go in and do what we can to get them done. So
Yeah, and we've been successful, and also we were talking about Wendy Schroeder. She had a very nice sale last week. So some really nice people. Wendy was on vacation. I helped them a little bit. Really nice people from Crawfordsville
mm-hmm.
that bought a nice house here. So anyway, that's.
Yeah, we definitely have. Right now, I'm just not thinking of, because we've talked about our Reinbrecht listings and Arcadian Acres. I do have, I have an investment property coming up. It's very nice. He's went in and done a really good job on it, but he's got a tenant in there. I met the tenant yesterday. Very good tenant. But anyway, that one's going to be coming up.
This one on West Illinois you were telling me about.
This one on Virginia.
West side of Virginia?
No. Yeah, it is the west side of 41. So,
you're pulling my trick when I was new. So if it went to west side of 41, I was calling it west side.
Well,
the phone just blew up. Mindy hated me. She was receptionist because I couldn't afford anything back then except the thrifty nickel because it was super cheap. And I had those homes down in Boxtown that Dave Clark listed with me on contract, West Florida, West Missouri, things like that. And we had 7 lines, and you always knew when the thrifty nickel came out on Thursday because I had every line going. And Mindy said it was just one after another.
Is the thrifty nickel even still around?
Yes, it is.
It is?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Did they go online, or do they still print?
They still print, but they're also online now too.
Huh.
It is a very affordable way to advertise.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you honestly, I had good success.
Yeah.
And
is it called the thrifty quarter now, or with inflation?
No, it's still the thrifty nickel.
Yeah.
But speaking of inflation, and as our old co-host David Crow would have said in much more detail than we will, Candace, how have you noticed the slight bump up in interest rates? Is it really affecting you any?
A little bit, because people see that, they're seeing their payment and they're saying, well, I don't want that, I don't want to pay that payment. However, I have a lot of people that whenever they look at what they're going to pay in rent, it's comparable, and so I do encourage people that if they want to buy, go ahead and buy, because they can refinance later down the line, get the house. Of course, sometimes I think people need to go down at the price point that they're at,
right?
So that they are with a payment that they're comfortable with. So, But yeah, I mean, a little bit. I've seen a few people that have said, well, we're going to hold off because, we don't want to go down in our price range. This is the range we want to be in.
But, unless you already own a house, you need to remember rent's 100% interest. I mean, that's
exactly right. Yeah.
And the other thing we always say, they say, I don't want to pay that mortgage. Well, you're going to pay somebody's mortgage.
Right.
It's yours or the landlord.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's only it's not that big of it's at maybe 0.5%, 0.25%.
Yeah, it didn't go up a whole lot. I was just talking to someone yesterday that he was saying that I think he said 1982 is whenever he and his wife bought their house, and he said we had a 13% interest rate.
That was good.
Yeah, he said we didn't think anything about that.
Yeah,
and yeah.
Dave Herman's told me, and we've had Dave on the show several times, when he became an investor, but was practicing realtor in the 80s, and he said it was 15% at least.
Yeah, my dad said 16%.
Yeah,
that's what he remembered his first one being.
And Dave told me, and I didn't know this, the due on sale clause that's in mortgages. I think it's in our purchase agreement. Mm-hmm. That came about because those high interest rates, because people were just letting somebody else assume the loan and didn't even know, the bank didn't know anything about it.
Oh, okay.
So so now if you can do it if the bank approves it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's still, it's still a good interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah,
I'm
still
in 92, I guess, I paid 8 1/8.
Mm-hmm.
And Wayne Ellis was talking to me about, I'm not giving you the peace sign. Wayne Ellis was my realtor. I wasn't yet a realtor. And he said, you must really have good credit. I said, well, I think so. And he said, well, you got an 8 1/8. And I was going to work bragging about it.
Yeah.
And the other people, they thought, man, that's great.
Yeah.
And I refied once just to get my payment down. I didn't take any cash out. And it went to 6.5, and we thought it could never get any lower than this.
Mm-hmm.
And times got different, but the main reason right now, the bond, and I don't want to get political, Candace and I, we don't get political on the air, so what we say is we're not taking a stance on any of this, but the bond rates have went up, and most of the experts say because of fears what the tariffs will do, and fears of if they have this big tax cut and not able to pay for it, that it'll just, the budget, will just be underwater.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's why the bond rates are up. And Bobby, what are you gonna be okay the time we take off? I mean, I know this is your main job here.
I'll have to find a way to scrape by.
Okay.
If I'll start collecting cans and turning those in, recycling.
If you know anybody that needs their yard mowed, call Bobby Gates.
Walking dogs, I'm good at that.
And Bobby and Candace, while we're off, they're going to go to Cardinal games.
I'm actually going to a Cubs game and a soccer game in Chicago this summer. So
we don't want to hear anything about the Cubs games, okay?
Well,
don't want to hear about the fact that we're still 2 games ahead of the Cardinals.
I know we don't want to talk
even though
about
you're
that.
going to blow us out, you
never know. You never know.
We were right there.
Never know.
No, and Bobby is doing some kind of dance over there, like wrap it up.
I love how he starts a new conversation.
1 minute
left. Right at the very last second.
Yeah, I could start one with Candace here, but she probably would come over here. And
let's wrap it up.
Let's save it till July, okay?
All right, we'll save it till July. All right, so while we're gone this summer, have a great time. We will be back, and so for Candace DeArm and Bobby Gates, this is Charlie Butler. Have a great Sunday.
The following program is paid for by the Charlie Butler team. This program has been paid for by the Charlie Butler team. From the Kate Foppel Ford Studios, this is Newstalk 1280 WGBF.